almost got into a fight a few nights ago, which is weird because I'm so non-threatening that even bad people don't want to fight me, because it just seems silly. But I live across the street from a bar, which, I mean, the advantages are if I drank, that would be amazing. But since I don't, it's just kind of there. So I parked my car and I immediately got out of my car, a gentleman, and I mentioned only the fact that he is Hispanic because it came up in conversation. Don't take that in a weird way. I didn't want to say some Hispanic guy. No, I mean the fact he mentioned it a couple times, and it was like the crux of our conversation, kind of. He walks up to me, and he points to his shoulder where I think he must have a tattoo under his shirt or something, because he kept pointing to it like it meant something. Like I was supposed to see something that wasn't actually there. And he kept pointing to his shoulder and he kept saying, racial police. Racial police. And I looked at him, and I was genuinely confused. I don't get angry easily. So I just said, I'm sorry, what did you say? And he says, you know, racial police. At this moment, I could have just walked the other way because this is not going anywhere good. But
did you know, though, Leon? Did you know racial police?
I actually did not. I didn't understand anything he was saying. And then I just looked at him for a few seconds, and I was trying to be nice. I says, I'm sorry, sir, I don't really know what you mean. And he says, racial police, Texas. And in my head, I'm like, maybe he knows I lived in Texas for a while, and that my license plate previously said Texas. I mean, he's standing right next to my car. So I said, well, and I started to talk, and he says, border, racial police, Texas. And I'm like, and I'm like, in my head, I'm like, am I racial police, or is he the racial police? Because I don't understand why we're...
Wait, are they finally coming to take Whitey away?
I guess. I mean, we kind of deserve it, but I wasn't informed about this at all. I mean, I figured I would have got a memo from the secret white leader of the world. Shh, don't tell anyone. Don't tell anyone he exists. No, we just kind of talked for a couple minutes because I really wanted to understand what he meant. And I don't like getting angry at anyone. So I just kind of eventually said, sorry, I don't know what you mean, so I'm going to leave now. And I just started walking across the street. And then he starts screaming at me. Just screaming. Like at first we were having a bad conversation. But this was now just turning into, like, screaming. And it's the only... And I raised my voice, like, once last year because someone was like very rude to my wife, and I sort of went off on him. But this is the first time I just got mad at someone for being a jerk. He just starts screaming at me, like, and I started saying, hey, you know what, fuck you, man, fuck you. I don't know what your problem is, just fuck you and leave me alone. And I walked across the street, and he kept screaming, and I just kept flipping him off, and I was like, fuck you, I don't care. Whatever this is about, I don't care. And I walked inside. And I was like, why did that happen? Why did he talk to me, and why did I talk back?
Did you call the racial police?
I actually did not, because I still don't know if I'm the representative of the police, or he is. Or there's a third-party racial police, and all he was trying to do was ask me how to get in contact with them.
I think you probably should have called the racial police and been like, listen, I think that some guy mistook me for one of yours today, or maybe he was one of your guys. Am I being charged with something?
Is racial police 912? I feel like it must be. Anyway, I walked into but my apartment is like part of like, you walk into a hall and you can turn left to go into apartment 1, and I'm upstairs in apartment 2. And I just decided to stay in the little hallway area for a second and look out the window and see what this guy's deal is. And he started walking away a little for like, just like half a block. And then someone else walked up to him. And I don't think this was about the fact that I am a mostly white person, because another Hispanic person walked by him, and the racial police officer or guy who thinks people are racial police started screaming at him. And I'm like, I feel better now because now I know it wasn't anything I did or the fact that I'm a different race as him. He just really thinks he's racial police and wants everyone to know it, or he just desperately needs to get in contact with the racial police, and he doesn't care what race you are, he'll ask you for the number. So, I don't know what happened.
I have a question, okay?
Okay.
Do different races have different racial polices?
I feel like if they do, it's wrong because the racial police should be objective. If every race has a different racial police, then they are inherently profiling everyone, aren't they? I mean,
yeah, but if you profile everyone, then at least it's not prejudice and segregation.
No. I mean the white racial police would profile everyone who isn't white, and they would just like let white people off the hook for things.
Not necessarily. We haven't even determined yet what it is that the racial police polices.
They must police disputes between people of different races for racial matters.
See, if I was establishing a police force based on race, I'd be like the white race police to police the white people, right? And then every other racial designation will get its own police force. That way there'd be no discrimination. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, I see.
That seems ideal to me.
So how come this Hispanic officer approached Leon and was
Maybe he was confused. He thought you were Hispanic, Leon. Maybe he sensed your inherent style and rhythm and was like, wow, that guy he can't be white. He's too smooth.
I'm distantly black on my father's side, but the fact is I can't imagine how this guy could have known. So I don't know how...
He's read your file.
I was like,
it's obvious.
Maybe the highly trained race police officer. He can just tell these things.
Maybe he has more information about the Haitian part of my heritage. That's how my father's side of the family came to this country. So maybe he had new information, and he just really, really needed to give it to me, and that's why he was waiting by my car.
My family came to this country on a plane.
Neat.
Fantastic.
All right, let's do the show. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Word Funk. I am Leon Thomas. With me are Johnny Maloney and Austin Yorsky. We are like the Run DMC of podcasts. I'm Reverend Run. Johnny is DMC, and Austin is the one that died. So we are going to talk. God, that's horrible. God, I should never wing this. I should never just wing the improvise the intro.
Wait, I got it. Okay, you and I are Run DMC, Leon, and Austin is Aerosmith.
Oh my God.
I can live with that.
Yeah. No offense to Jam Master Jay, you jammed and you were a master at it.
But post '90s Aerosmith, Austin.
Oh.
You know what? That's not as big of an insult as you think it is, Johnny.
Austin.
Generation Aerosmith in
Generation X.
X. Yeah, there we go. That's exactly the Aerosmith that you are.
The three people who played that game are gonna love that joke.
I know, right? I have such a deep audience.
I played the shit out of that game in the arcade. Oh, no, but
today's show is going to be all about full motion video arcade games. You guys want to talk about Mad Dog McCree, who shot Johnny Rock? Oh fuck, what was that other one? Space Pirates or some shit. Oh man.
I enjoyed the full motion video games, but not so much the arcade ones. There was a limited amount of things you could do there when you can't just sit down and figure shit out. Mad Dog McCree wasn't bad. The trick to playing that game was to hold the gun upside down because that automatically reloaded your gun. So you never actually had to do the reload motion, which is flipping upside down or flipping it to the side. So anyway, in case you ever stumble upon an arcade game of Mad Dog McCree, or if you travel back in time to the mid-90s, you could do that to win that game. Okay, that was a great thing that I just said. I'm just on a terrible roll right now. I accidentally make fun of someone who tragically died in a music group that I actually really liked when I was young, and now I just said something also stupid. So it's just the worst episode. I'm keeping all of this in because I don't want anyone to think that I like edit this to make myself sound smart. The only thing that gets edited out are things for time or if I just say something that's just despicable.
All of your damn racial slurs, Leon.
Yeah.
That's why we record these on Tuesday. They don't come out till Thursday because you're just sitting there in your audio editing program just excising N-bombs for hours.
Oh gosh, I say it so much.
It's like a verbal tick with you.
Everyone.
I'm still really surprised that none of my a cappella covers of 90s grunge rock have made it into the show. I give you guys like 3 of them an episode.
As we were talking, I looked up, again, I'm not making fun. I just find this interesting because I didn't know this. The person who murdered Jam Master Jay, his name was Kenneth Supreme McGriff, and he is like an assassin. He's not like you know how like when a rap star dies you assume it was another rap star? I mean, there's no real reason to think that, but apparently that's what everyone assumes. No, he's a professional murder for hire assassin, and someone said, "Hey, can you kill the least popular member of the most innocent, innocuous rap group of all time?" And he was like, "Yeah, I mean, that's why they call me Supreme." And then he just
an actual quote from the trial.
Incidentally, that is also exactly why the Supremes were named the way they were named.
Retroactively, of course.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of cold cases came out of that pop group.
Okie dokie then.
I actually remember when Jam Master Jay passed away. I read it in a newspaper, which really dates it.
A what?
Exactly. I read it in a newspaper, and in my mind I was like, it's always tragic when someone passes away far before their time. But who on earth could have ever had a problem with Jam Master Jay or any?
Before we move on past Mr. Supreme here, Leon, I just want to make sure that I've got him properly profiled as the kind of, like, hitman/assassin I think he is.
Okay.
Are we talking, like, a hitman like Hitman the Game? Like a total professional? Or are we talking, like, maybe a hitman like X versus Sever? Or even, like, are we talking Mr. and Mrs. Smith?
We're talking, like, The Wire, I feel like.
Yeah.
He just runs up and shoots people. I don't think it's as elegant as all that. Apparently, and he has a Wikipedia page, which is what I'm reading right now.
So like John Cusack in Grosse Pointe Blank.
It's exactly like John Cusack in Grosse Pointe Blank.
Now you're talking my language.
Yeah, he is alleged to have had a hand in the 2002 murder of Run DMC member Jam Master Jay, and was convicted of ordering the 2001 killing of Mobb Deep affiliate E.
Okay, wait. How can you? Sorry, that's a disconnect in my brain right there. You're a hitman.
He outsourced his hitmanning to another hitman. He's like a kingpin of hitmen.
This is why the American economy is going to the shits. Nobody locally sources their manufacturing and labor anymore.
He's like Travis Touchdown. He's like the king of assassins, but he has other assassins beneath him. He's
So is this like the pyramid scheme of hitmen groups?
It's
you kill 2 people and then you save the third, who then kills 2 people. No, that one's not landing.
No, I don't even know how this happened. I'm sorry, everyone listening to this. We were gonna have a really fun talk about anime, and then I just went off on weird rants about racial police and rap murder. There is no reason for any of this, and I swear it just sort of came up.
That's like the tagline of this podcast. Word funk. There's no reason for any of this.
Right. We should just be called the podcast that shouldn't exist.
Wait, have we ever addressed the name of this show?
Yeah. I mentioned, I think in the second or third episode, that it was going to be word jazz, which sort of makes sense because it's like mostly improvised, our show. And then Johnny informed us 5 minutes before the show started that there's already another podcast, so we just started mentioning other genres of music, and I said, word funk sounds cool. And Johnny was not married to the idea, but we let it slide, and then it just stuck.
Immediate regret.
I was all about word 18th century Baroque chamber music, but it did roll off the tongue a little cumbersomely.
Yeah, that's the way it is. Okay, let's actually, I mean, we're almost 20 minutes into this call, and we haven't really hit our first topic. Again, improvised. So, Austin, if you want to take it away with a kind of a big story that exploded all over social media, and then we realized how wrong we were about it. Go ahead. Go for it.
It's a big story in the sense that a lot of people were talking about it, but not big in the sense that the reportage was accurate. But that's pretty much par for the course of internet reporting these days. So you might have heard over the week that Studio Ghibli or however you want to pronounce it, either you guys have a preference. I'm going to say Ghibli.
I'm okay with Ghibli.
Okay.
The fact that we think it's Ghibli makes it almost certainly Ghibli.
Let's all be united in our wrongness. That's the best.
Everyone will make fun of us in the comments.
It's a strong front we have to present.
Anyway, there are reports that the studio is basically done for, that is closing up, that
Studio Ghibli's closing down?
Well, that's the thing, Johnny. Everyone was immediately started panicking, and,
I need to write my congressman.
I don't think that's how it works. I don't think your congressman in Canada has anything to do with a Japanese animation studio.
It would probably also help if we had a Congress in Canada.
That too.
What do you guys call your elected representative? Are you just the maple syrup squad? What's up there?
A member of parliament.
Okay.
Which sounds like really dignified, but if you knew any of them, you'd know.
Well, anyway, and I'm gonna have to say that a lot because Johnny just loves interrupting me. Anyway, it turns out that reports of Ghibli's deaths was greatly exaggerated because
Studio Ghibli's not closing down?
Studio Ghibli's not closing down?
Okay.
Studio Jibba Jabba?
Studio Giblets. It turns out that the interview that these quotes came from, they were either improperly translated or just not translated at all. People just assumed. And a more accurate translation of what's going on is that they're, quote, taking a break from animation because their last couple of movies haven't made too much money, and that they're going to be reshuffling some staff and whatnot. So
Studio Ghibli is restructuring?
Only assume that this is mistranslated this way. You know how, in English, some letters are just almost inexplicably silent? Maybe the word not is silent in Japanese, and we didn't figure that out.
You want to throw some L and R jokes in there, Leon?
No. I'm just saying. If the word
Hey,
silent, and we didn't know that they was not closing down.
If I could rearrange the English alphabet, I'd put U and T together, because that's where it fucking belongs.
Okie dokie, then.
Oh, terrible. It's the first show. Go ahead.
I don't know if this is salvageable, but I love it. So yeah, they're still going to exist as a company for a while at least, but presumably they're just gonna, reevaluate some stuff, how they do business, because
Studio Ghibli signed a record deal with Weird Al?
I hate you so much right now. The thing about Ghibli is that the population of Japan, right, is what, 28, 29 million? It's very difficult to turn a profit with the quality of their movies cost more than it is even they're able to recoup with domestic sales. That's why even Hollywood, you saw the figures for Transformers 4, that it was mostly Chinese sales and stuff that pushed it over the top. You have to have a global audience.
Interestingly enough, the Chinese will only allow a certain amount of foreign movies into their market, so you kind of have to submit to the government and be like, "Hey, we'd really like to release our movie," which is why there are a bunch of extra scenes in a lot of North American movies that have Chinese people added to them.
Yep. And they also get, say, over edit and stuff. Oh, we don't like this scene. Can you take this out?
Yeah. The international market is huge right now. Just ask anybody involved in Bollywood.
So that's a worry going forward. If Ghibli is going to do business in today's marketplace, they're going to need to be more global in either how they market or, at least maybe even how they make the movies they make, because they're all very Japanese. And that's what we love about them. But it also means that they either don't come over here in a timely fashion, or if they do, they have a very limited audience, which is unfortunate. They make really good movies. What's your guys' favorite Studio Ghibli movie?
I actually looked at the big list of studio. Here's the thing. I watch the anime, and by that I mean I watch anime series. I watch very few anime movies. I've seen Spirited Away because someone made me.
At gunpoint?
No, just request. It was requested of me that I watch it. It was good, but I didn't like it or connect with it in any way.
I didn't like it either.
It was like a series of things that happened, and I understand it's far deeper than that, but I still.
I liked it better when it was called Japanese Alice in Wonderland.
Okay. And I haven't seen any of the others. I like shows more than anime movies, if that makes any sense.
No, it makes sense. I don't watch a lot of anime movies either, but I mean, I've seen Spirited Away, Howl's Moving Castle, Ponyo, Princess Mononoke.
Fucking hate that song, man.
You
know which one I'm talking about.
No, I don't. Which one?
Ponyo.
I hear Ponyo is a fishy in the sea. Something Lee.
You guys don't like, what about Totoro? You've never seen Totoro, Leon?
I haven't seen Totoro, no. But do you want to take a wild stab at what my favorite Studio Ghibli movie is, Austin? Just like, how much I hate myself and like to punish myself. No?
Grave of the Fireflies.
Oh, yeah.
I knew it.
Yeah, that's it right there. Dig a hole in a fucking asphalt street, fill it with, dirty cold water, sit in that puddle and watch that movie in the dead of winter outside, and it's just that's my jam, son.
But of course, Studio Ghibli's latest and greatest creation is actually the video game Ni no Kuni. Do you guys know about that? I don't think either of you played it yet.
It's actually on the basically I have a sort of a list of games that I want to play now that I'm playing games again, and it is on the short list that I really want to play that game.
Yeah.
Video games?
Yeah, I'll explain it to you later, John. You haven't heard about this yet, but there's a thing where you can control narrative entertainment.
Sounds like witchcraft.
It sounds like the holodeck.
Yeah, it's a little bit holodeck. But Ni no Kuni was programmed by Level 5, the Professor Layton people, but the character design and the cutscenes were done by Studio Ghibli, and it's a fantastic looking game.
You know that there's a guy who actually does Oculus Rift adaptation of Studio Ghibli sets? No, I'm serious. You can download Spirited Away, and there's a 3D Spirited Away, and then the scene with the bus in My Neighbor Totoro with the cat bus.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you can play those on the Oculus Rift.
That's cool.
I know, just cool, weird, strange.
It's interesting to note, though, because I was looking over the list of Ghibli films before we started this, and I haven't seen the last 5 that they released. I don't even know if they've been translated or released here, and those are the ones that were financial failures. I know the last 2 or 3 they released were bombs even in Japan. And also looking at the just the filmography of Miyazaki, he hasn't actually been directly involved in any of their recent stuff either.
No,
so I wonder.
He retired some time ago, didn't he?
Well, he keeps saying he's retiring, but then he keeps coming back. I don't know. He's like Hideo Kojima, where every time he does something, he's like, that was my last thing. I'll never do a thing again. Next week, I'm going to do a thing, though. Keep an eye out for that.
Yeah, Miyazaki, I mean, he's getting up there in the years. At some point, you kind of have to consider retirement just for that reason.
I'm not saying it's not he's not allowed to retire. I just find
That's it. I'm announcing my retirement from this podcast.
Okay, we'll see you in a couple minutes, Johnny.
I'll be right back.
He's just getting a drink.
It's our show now.
Hey, Leon.
What?
Let's make this show sexy.
I can't tell if that was like a slam, like the fact that Johnny's not part of the podcast anymore. It's now inherently sexier, or if you were just coming on to me. That was just.
You guys, I'm right here.
Why do I have to pick one, Leon?
We have to get Johnny back onto the show. Johnny,
damn it.
What can we do?
I think if we decide to make the podcast sexy, I'm in.
All right. Well, we'll all agree on sexy and moving forward. On the podcast.
Do you guys want to talk about the state of internet journalism, or do we all just kind of agree that it's shit and no one fact checks or rates or anything?
I like the way that you first said that like a few minutes ago. You says that's the way it works on the internet these days. Like in the beginning of the internet, like on Usenet, everything was like professional shit.
No, I know. Yeah, it's kind of. Yeah.
Look.
It's really easy for misinformation to spread. I mean, there was a Facebook prank that kind of made the rounds a few months ago. I don't know if you guys saw it, where like it prematurely announced, like kids getting like mandatory vaccine shots at school that had like a 40% chance of like them getting cancer from it or something like that.
That's how vaccines work.
Well, no, the thing about it is that it was like, if you actually clicked on the link, it was like, hey, thanks for participating in this university study. We want to know how many people actually read the information, like click on the article before they start commenting about it. And they discovered that a minuscule percent of people actually pursue the information. They see the headline, they see the buzzword, they see the cliff notes, if you will, and then just go, oh my god, it's a terrible thing, Studio Ghibli is shutting down, and they don't actually, even if the information is fact-checked, which, let's be clear, not necessarily, but then beyond that, people just take the fucking like sound clip and just run with it, and like that's all it needs for this information to just run wild, naked, free, and come like tackle you at a picnic in front of your mom or something.
I feel like you lost that one. I don't know what you were talking about by the time that sentence ended.
Sorry.
I mostly understood it.
Yeah, I remember a while ago someone ran an article with like a really like incendiary headline, and in the body of the actual like thing was just saying like, hey, do you think anyone's actually going to read these words? Let's go down to the comments and check what people are saying. Like it wasn't actually like an article of any content. It was just basically to see if anyone would read it, and all the comments were like, oh, that damn Obama, just like nothing to do with anything.
Yeah.
Those are the worst. Like, I can take, when I was writing for BT, 3 years of this, like, I didn't mind if someone had anything, like, critical to say about me, or they had something to add, or they want to, even if they were just like, Austin, you're a faggot. Like, I can deal with that.
Wow.
What I cannot deal with is people who clearly didn't read the article. Like, just at least do me that before you call me names. That's all I ask.
There was a comment a couple of podcasts ago where when Leon said, "Oh yeah, like we went up to Canada, the cold land in the north," and I said, "Was it cold?" Incredulously, as though like, "Are you serious? Like, did you find it cold there?" And he was like, "No, it's a joke." And I'm like, "Okay, good, And then some guy wrote in the comments, he was like, fucking stupid Americans thinking that Canada's cold. I'm like, dude, I'm a Canadian. Like, I couldn't believe that it was cold. I was asking. So it almost seemed like the guy listened to the first 2 minutes of the podcast and was like, fucking stupid Americans.
Did you get any comments? I know, Leon, you don't read the comments in your videos anymore, but did you ever get one where it's the person is angrily agreeing with you, where they're like, this is bullshit, here's what I think, and they say the exact same thing you said?
I used to hear that from time to time, yeah.
Those are the ones that just, like, keep me up at night. I'm like, but what did he think he read? Is there another version of my article circulating out there that I don't know about?
I think it's like one of those mirror universe things, like our dimensions got really close to each other, and he's communicating to you from that one. The weirdest articles on the internet are I mean, I guess this is an overused term, but clickbait articles where the headline says one thing, but then once you're there, it's like, oh, this is far less intriguing than it seemed. It's like the headline would be like, guess who killed the president? And then, and then you click on it, and it's like the Harvey Oswald, but like half a century ago. And it's how. I was like, oh, okay, well, I already kind of knew that.
It doesn't get any easier these days with like fifth column advertising. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? I guess, that's a new phrase that I just coined right here and now.
What is that something from V, the science fiction show V?
No, like fifth column. All right, fifth column is a term where basically there's like you're dealing with a force that inhabits something that doesn't outwardly all right. It's a military term, basically, okay, where it's like you would have columns approaching the enemy city, right? But then inside the enemy city, you'd also have a group of guys who are not necessarily adherents to this opposing army, but they're like, oh, yes, we love the Nazis. They're great. So, like, the concept of fifth column advertising is where I'm like, yeah, we have, like, we're trying to legitimate sites and articles and news, and then there's that, like, one piece that's sort of like, oh, my God, you won't believe what this guy did with his washer-dryer. It'll blow your mind. And then you click on it, and the dude does something with his washer-dryer, and then you're like, wait a minute, that says sponsored by GE.
We should be that of Tigwatig, like Wordfunk. Three nerds get together and talk about the racial police. You won't believe what happens next.
Yeah, and yeah, I mean, if I call this episode Racial Police, everyone will think it's really incendiary and really controversial, when in reality it was just a drunk person who walked out of a bar up to my car and started spouting nonsense, and then for some reason it degenerated from there. So I am going to call this episode Racial Police now.
And then the little description can be like, you won't believe what Leon has to say about the situation at the border. Also,
that would be weirdly meta. Like that would be some self-aware podcast advertisement there.
You won't believe what happens next. It's definitely
What happens next will blow your mind.
Have you guys actually seen the show V? Because that joke is the rebel group in that show is called the Fifth Column.
I'm familiar with the show, but only in the sense that I know bits and pieces of the plot. I've never actually sat down and watched.
I am familiar with the show, but not the show that you're talking about. The show before it that was the same show, but at a different time.
I think I am talking about the older one. I don't think I've seen the new one. Is there how many are there?
I too. I'm pretty well. There was a mini series, and then I think it became a regular TV show, and then many years later they made a new TV show.
I've seen one of the older ones.
But they're all called V, so.
Yeah. Which must be hell on their search engine optimization.
Yeah.
Yeah, they weren't thinking about Google back then. I mean, it's really hard to look up V, the show, unless you just write V.
Yeah. That's why everything gets like weird, shitty names these days, because you got to get that sweet SEO. I envy people who don't know how to think about stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, when the Sci-Fi Channel had to change their name to something basically the same thing but spelled differently, we all kind of threw our arms up in the air. I was like, why would you do that? But it's for copyright, easier to copyright branding and Google stuff, and it does make sense. It just looks kind of silly. That's all. Everything looks silly, though. The word Wii U sounds silly.
Oh, God. Did you see that article earlier?
I did.
I did!
Ben Kuchera ran an article over at Polygon talking about how, according to the guy who used to work for the indie liaison for Nintendo, says that the name Wii U has cut sales of the console in half. Which, I mean, he has no way to prove that. But if that's even just...
That's like digging in your pants and finding a number and then just being like, there.
If that's even close to true, though, I don't know. I don't care if they rename it. Like, I love the console. If they call it the Super Wii 2 and they just release it again, the same box, so that people buy it, like, that would be fine. I don't care.
Nintendo, I'm gonna do your work for you. Call it the Wii, but use 3 eyes.
Oh, jeez, yeah. I would love to talk about video games with you, Johnny, but I think you have another video game story that you wanted to hit, or actually I wanted to, but we're giving it to you because I'm tired of the sound of my voice.
I saw a movie on the weekend.
Did you?
I did. And everybody's like, oh, Johnny watched Guardians of the Galaxy. You know,
did anyone here watch it? I haven't seen it yet.
I was going to see it Friday, and then something bad happened, and I couldn't. I was going to see it today, and then something bad happened, and then I couldn't. So maybe Thursday?
We are the best nerd podcast.
Sorry, everyone. Apparently, if you wanna go to Channel Awesome and find out what people are thinking about it, Obscurus Lupa and Nash watched it and did a vlog of it, so it's there. We are going to talk about a different movie, I think.
Wait,
yes,
Leon, you mean there are opinions about a new movie on the internet that they can find?
On the same website, oddly enough, yes.
What crazy times we live in.
Oh, internet.
Studio Ghibli reviewed Guardians of the Galaxy?
Okay, Johnny, go with your thing.
The movie that I saw on the weekend was called The Zero Theorem. Now, have either of you gentlemen heard of or are aware of the Zero Theorem?
Nope.
Leon. Lee's Googling it right now.
No, I'm sorry. I'm being a real dick. When you started talking, I was like, now's my chance to quick run into the kitchen and grab a soda. And then, like, how would I possibly know that you were going to reference me, like, 6 seconds into your review of a movie? So,
you did.
Sorry.
No, I'm not reviewing a movie.
Johnny, just give us the number out of 10. That's all anyone cares about.
10 out of 10.
Okay, gosh.
Moving
on.
Game of the year.
Fuck, Christ.
The DLC was particularly enticing, well, with all the horse armor in it. Okay, no. Leon, do you know the Zero Theorem? Are you familiar with the title?
I'm familiar with the title only in the sense that I know the director of it.
Okay, well, the Zero Theorem is the new movie brought to us from Terry Gilliam. He of Monty Python fame, director of 12 Monkeys, The Fisher King, Brazil, Thailand, and many, many, many more. And this movie is a little bit of it's a weird outlier. It's another when he directed The Adventures of Baron von Munchausen. There's a lot of stories about how he threatened to burn the cut of the movie in front of the director if he didn't get his way. And when he directed Brazil, the movie that he wound up submitting to the domestic release in the United States was a couple minutes too long. But the movie studio hated it, and they cut it down 40 minutes and made it have a happy ending and shit like that. He's always had a bit of a tumultuous relationship, not only with releasing movies, but also making them. There's a great documentary out there about him trying to make a movie about Don Quixote. I don't remember what the name of the documentary is, though, so that'll have to wait.
Oh, it was called Lost in La Mancha.
There you go. Thank you, Leon. Lost in La Mancha. Just a great watch for anybody interested in making movies and about, how all the things that could possibly go wrong do go wrong. Anyways, The Zero Theorem was this, really kind of low-end sort of creeper movie that nobody seemed to know that he was working on until all of a sudden a trailer popped up on the internet and he showed one guy at Rotten Tomatoes a cut of this movie, and this guy, I don't remember the name of the guy at Rotten Tomatoes, but was like, holy shit, this is the best movie Terry Gilliam has done since Brazil. Well, I had a chance to see it on the weekend, and are you ready for this? It was really good.
Neat.
I like all his stuff. I really like 12 Monkeys, and I really liked Fear and Loathing.
Fear and Loathing. Ah, yes. God, how could I forget that?
I made bad. This is you know how even if you've seen millions and millions of movies, there's these huge holes. Terry Gilliam is my hole.
Terry Gilliam is my hole. Leon Thomas, 2014.
I'm gonna misquote that on Twitter and spelling Hole WHOLE.
Damn it! I was just about to do that. I had the browser open and everything.
Both of you do it, but both of you spell it differently.
No, there's only one way to spell this.
But anyway, no, I've seen 12 Monkeys. It's actually like one of my favorite science fiction films, ever. But I have never seen Time Bandits. I have never seen Fear and Loathing. I have never seen, Brazil. I've never seen any of the other ones, not even like the recent ones, like the one you just talked about, or, Dr. Parnassus's magic brain thing. I can't remember what it's called. It's a long...
The Imaginarium of Dr. Parnassus.
Something. Yeah, okay. I remember Tom Waits is in it, and that's all I know about it. Yeah, for some reason, I mean, it's actually, I see it on a thing. Sort of on my long list of movies that are probably going to end up being Renegade Cut episodes, Brazil is on there. Just because I hear there's a lot to talk about. I just haven't seen it myself.
Brazil is my favorite movie, and drawing it back here, I think it's fair to say that the Zero Theorem and Brazil do share some attitudes and ideas. A quick synopsis of the plot. It's a story about a data cruncher, basically. It's like, it takes place in this I guess it's fair to call it the future, but it could be easily interpreted as like, a parallel dimension or alternate reality or something like that. Where
is it the distant future, the year 2000?
It is. It's the year 20XDX. And the main character, Christoph Waltz, played by Christoph Waltz, it's not actually a movie about Christoph Waltz, plays this data cruncher named Cohen, who, he goes to work every day, and there's all these, like, little weird details that they never really outwardly explain, like how all the computer files are liquid. Like, everybody does data transfer with, like, these multicolored, like, sort of superluminescent, like, liquid tubes and things like that. And at the office where the data crunchers work, your desk is plugged into a bicycle pedals. So you sit there with your giant, like, it looks like a weird mutated Xbox controller, basically. And everybody, like, pedals while they work to stay fit, So it is this weird, like, kind of oddly dystopian kind of concept. There's a scene where he walks to work. The main character lives in a church that was afflicted by some really bad fire damage, and as Cohen explains in the movie, he's like, yeah, apparently the monks that lived here swore vows of secrecy and celibacy and silence, and apparently none of them broke the silence to yell fire. And an insurance company sees it, and he buys it off the insurance company. So, yeah, he lives in this church, and he walks to work at the beginning of the movie, and it's like you've got advertising all along the street sides, like building sides, where advertisements follow you, and they're like, good morning, sir. We'd like to talk to you about a new opportunity to change your life. There's even an advertisement for a religious group called the Church of Batman the Redeemer. And yeah, the movie basically is about how he wants to be sent home from work. He wants to live at home. He wants to work at home because he feels like he's dying, and his purpose in life is going to come to him at any point in time. And he's convinced that this purpose is going to come to him through the means of message of a phone call. And he has to be at home to accept this phone call, or else he's going to die alone and unfulfilled, and he's never going to know what his life was for.
What about cell phones? Are there no cell phones in this?
There might very well be. A character pulls a cell phone out at one point in time, but it's revealed very early on that this is an unusual gentleman.
Is it just that Destiny only has his home phone number? They don't.
Precisely.
It doesn't have a cell.
No, I mean, there's a discussion that happens later in the movie where he talks about how he had a phone call at one point in time that called his home line, and when he picked up the phone, the voice said his name, and at that point in time, he had a realization that if he could just say, yeah, that's me, then that voice would be able to tell him everything that he needed to know to live his life to the fullest extent, that voice held all the secrets of the universe that he needed. So he's like, but in his excitement, he drops the receiver and he breaks the phone and he loses the call. So he's applying to get permits to work at home, basically, which gets reviewed by management, who is impeccably played by Matt Damon. No, like, the character of management is fantastic. He just, like, appears in rooms without ever actually having entered them, and his suit always matches whatever backdrop he's standing against.
Awesome.
So, like, if he's standing against drapes, they're, like, made of the same pattern as the drapes. If he's sitting in a chair, it's the same pattern as what's in the chair. And Matt Damon's character, management, sees something unusual in this guy, this Cohen character, and so gives him dispensation to work at home, but only if he works on crunching data for this special project that they call the Zero Theorem. And everybody at work is like, oh, the Zero Theorem, oh yeah, we'll give you a couple of weeks. Like, you were going to burn out so hard. Everybody, when they're new here, starts trying to work on the Zero Theorem, and it makes people go crazy. So everybody's, like, betting about how long he's going to last. And it turns out that he lasts quite a long time. But he doesn't really discover what the Zero Theorem is about until months down the line, and that is basically his boss is trying to get him to mathematically prove that the sum of everything, all the experiences in life, the whole universe, every itty bit of matter, energy, movement, all of it, all amounts to nothing, that there is no meaning, that it's fruitless, it's pointless, and that's all it is. Mathematically, management is trying to get him to prove this, right? So it automatically sets up this really absurd situation that and like it's done so excellently. There's all these like little touches that just kind of add to how strange everything is. Like, one of his specialists has a couple of guys who are looking after him, and they only ever refer to them as the clones, because the two guys are dressed exactly alike, but one of them is like 7 foot tall and lanky, and the other one is like 3'7" and is fat. But they're like, yeah, the clones are going to be up to pick me up later. And it's like, nobody goes, those guys are clones? There's this, go ahead.
I would say I think Gilliam-esque is the word you're looking for.
Yeah, pretty much. There's even, my favorite visual gag in the movie is there's a rat. And because there's a number of scenes during the course of the movie where people discard or drop food on the floor. And there's always a shot that wherever this food lands, there's a rat hole. And this rat just comes piling out of there, grabs the food, and then fucks off. And it happens in different locations, and it's like, I mean, you know, where it's obviously not necessarily the same rat, but it just looks like the same rat where he's like at a party at a friend's house, and like he accidentally like spits out an olive because he almost chokes on it, and it lands, and this rat comes out of the wall, grabs the olive, and fucks off. And then there's another scene where a guy eats like half a slice of pizza and throws it on the ground, and then this like rat just comes out of this hole, grabs the pizza, and fucks off. You know, like there's an interesting absurdity to it.
See, here's what you didn't know, Johnny. Those are just futuristic Roombas.
Biologically engineered, like, sterile rats that just like, oh, time to clean up.
This is a Roomba Mark 7. They're just the rats.
Might be. The best part of the movie might be when Tilda Swinton raps.
Excuse me?
That's right. When he's seeking medical leave to go home, because at first he tries disability, they're like, no, you need to be analyzed. So they give him shrink software, like psychoanalyst software. And he sits there and talks to this avatar on the computer that's played by Tilda Swinton, who's almost unrecognizable, because they put her in these huge granny glasses and like do her hair up just fucking, like totally old librarian, and put fake teeth in her mouth and give her a Scottish accent. Like, I went to go see the movie with 3 other people, my partner, Stephanie, and then my buddy, Davin, and his girlfriend, Karina. And neither Davin nor Karina recognized that was Tilda Swinton. And at one point in time, somebody messes with her software, and she busts out a rap. But not, like, in a good way. Like, in an edutainment 1996, hey, I hear this rap thing is cool and hip with the kids that are fresh, so my name is Psychotherapist, I'm here to say, and it's just like, it's phenomenal.
I don't know how I haven't heard of this movie. Maybe I wasn't paying attention, but this sounds like a thing I would watch.
The funny thing about it is that during the course of the movie, some very interesting analyzation or examination of contemporary culture is kind of like, just sort of like peppered in. Because it's about, he goes home and he completely shuts himself off from humanity, but during the course of him trying to pursue this Zero Theorem, he winds up actually creating some of the most meaningful relationships that the characters had. He meets really interesting, extraordinary people that just kind of get injected into a situation. Mainly, of course, because management wants them to be able to focus on the job, but there's a character in it that, for part of the movie, it's debated as to whether or not this woman is legitimately interested in this Christoph Waltz character, or if perhaps she's being paid by management to just kind of like, ease and lubricate the difficulties that he's having doing the Zero Theorem, because the character gets really, really frustrated and tries to quit a couple of times. And something that she does, because he doesn't like leaving the house very much, and he has all these strange affectations. He always refers to himself in the collective. He always says, we, us. We're dying, is his big concern. When he's really just talking about himself. So she actually manages to get, management to send over this, virtual reality suit. And he winds up kind of having dates with this girl on the internet. And they have this whole conversation about how none of this is real, and what's real? You can do whatever you want here. You can eat and not get fat. You can drink and not get drunk. This is a connection that therefore makes it real. But when the crux of the movie is about how finding that absolutely everything adds up to nothing, it places a really interesting juxtaposition to the concept of what is real, what is meaningful, and creating meaning out of nothing, and in what arguably would be nothing. I mean, the 3 of us right now, we're having a genuine conversation, an actual connection on the internet right now, but it's intangible. I can't reach over and fist bump Leon or push a custard pie into your face, Austin. That doesn't make it real, but
I say we all try to fist Leon through the internet.
Wow.
All together now. Everybody listening, all at once. Go.
You really want to phrase it that way?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I stand by my statement, Leon.
So it raises...
Johnny just goes right back.
I'm going right back here. I'm on a roll, too, all right? So forgive me. But yeah, it raises interesting questions about this whole paradox of, maybe there is no meaning. Maybe there's no point. But that's fine, because it seems as though we can create meaning out of nothing. But does that mean that it's still worthless? I
need to be way higher for this conversation, Johnny.
It's a very humorous movie. Very well acted. Great cast. Well shot. I think it is definitely one of Terry Gilliam's best movies in years. I was blown away by it. And it was a slow burner too, because after I watched it, I was like, "Well, I really like that." But then, now a couple of days later, I'm like, "Holy shit, that movie was so good."
I was like that with Blade Runner. I was like, "Oh, that was really cool, and it looked nice." And then I started thinking about it. I was like, "There are other things Yeah, I definitely have to watch Zero Theorem. That is actually a really good recommendation. I gotta check that out.
So if you get a chance, it's limited release right now, I think. Like I said, it was kind of like this weird guerrilla filmmaking. It was sort of like up and coming and just kind of like appeared on the internet. If you get a chance to see it at a local cinema, like it was a little out of the place in Vancouver, I guess not little out of the place, but independently owned that, seeks out films to do. If you get a chance to see the Zero Theorem and you like movies, and you like Gilliam movies particularly, see it.
All right. We are almost out of time. There's a new Resident Evil coming out, and it's like this thing. It's not new, but it's being remake, and we have no time to talk about this at all.
It was just gonna be like a 10-minute segment of us fucking ripping on Capcom because we're dicks.
Okay. So
just assume we did that.
All right. I actually wanted to do one thing, and it'll only take 1 minute, so we can just breeze through it very quickly. I want to do a new segment on the show at the end of each show, or whenever I remember to do it, called Other Podcasts I Like, because I listen to a lot of them, because I have a lot of, it's not downtime at work, I just have a lot of alone time at work, so I have to stay sane, and I do that by listening to podcasts while I work. So I'm going to mention one. And I'll start with one that's obscure, rather than talking about like Welcome to Night Vale right away or something like that.
Because we have to maintain our indie cred here.
Yeah. There's one I listen to, and I hope everyone checks it out. It's at it's called Diecast Enterprise. It's at diecastenterprise.tumblr.com. It is kind of what it sounds like. It is about Star Trek. These two guys who watched Star Trek The Next Generation when they were young meet up. They used to do it once a week. They ran into, I think one of them got married, so things slowed down a little, but I'm sure they'll get back to it soon. Then basically it's just about an hour-long discussion partly about that episode, and then just branches off into all other things Star Trek. So if you miss Attack of the Trek, which is not coming back anytime soon, and want something Star Trek related on the internet that I enjoy, you can go check that out at diecastenterprise.tumblr.com. And that's pretty much all I have this week. Anything you guys want to say before we go?
I kind of smell weirdly of gravy today.
Did you eat gravy and then it's coming through your pores, or
I don't think so. I had some poutine as a side dish on Saturday, but that's a long turnaround for gravy sweats.
You're just becoming human gravy.
That'd be a really terrible a sci-fi channel original movie. Human gravy man.
Coming after Sharknado 3. It's the Gravy Man. Is he man? Is he gravy?
Johnny, what was that? Was it Batman the Redeemer? What was that thing you said earlier?
Church of Batman the Redeemer.
I don't know. That sounds like it would be against the teachings of Gorfanax. I'm not sure if I can endorse that.
Yeah, there was actually a joke on Heart of Gaming that said something like that was the joke. It was I'm not a praying man, but please save me, Batman. I feel like Terry Gilliam stole my idea, but okay, fine. But no. You know what? When I was in Canada, I did not even have poutine. That was one of the things I wanted to do, but I didn't do that. I know I know that basically they have it in America, but we don't call it that there. So I was looking forward to saying poutine and then giving it to me.
What do you call it in America?
I think we just call them gravy fries.
Yeah, but no, there's cheese curds in poutine as well.
No, but cheese and gravy. Well, in that case, there is no name for it. Is there?
It's called poutine.
No, I mean in America.
There's a name for it. It's called poutine. You fucking
in the American style of language or whatever it is. I don't think we have an official name for it. I think
okay, I got a question. What do you call chow mein in America?
What?
Chow mein is the answer to that question.
Call it fucking chow mein. Okay, all right. What do you call curry in America?
We understand your comparison,
yes,
Johnny.
I see.
Fucking poutine.
I don't think Americans would be comfortable asking for anything with curds. I think the word curds just scares us.
Well, you know what? You really ought to, because you guys are all up on your Greek yogurt right now, and that's just like...
I have to go.
Yes, you do.
Any final words?
I still smell like gravy.
Still.
Austin?
Back to you, Austin. I have no final words. This is the greatest episode since the last time we had an episode.
Alright, I gotta go.
Bye.
It's been the worst day since yesterday.
Exactly.
Watch out for the racial police, everyone.
They're coming for you.